Hey everyone, today we're going to be talking about elapsed time. Our essential question is how can we solve elapsed time problems by converting units of time? We're also going to be using a timeline to solve elapsed time problems. Alright, so before we get started, there are a couple of things that you need to remember or that you need to know in order to solve elapsed time problems. First of all, when you're measuring time, there are some benchmarks that will help you out. It's really going to help it be easier on you if you know these. The first thing that you would want to know is that 1/4 of an hour, oops, I just covered up the 1/4 of an hour, 1/4 of an hour equals 15 minutes. Now, why do we say 1/4 of an hour? Well, if you look at it, 1/4 of an hour, or 60 minutes, 1/4 of 60 minutes, is 15 minutes. Just the same as half of an hour is 1/2 of 60 minutes, 30 minutes. So we have 1/4 of an hour, which is 15 minutes, half of an hour, which is 30 minutes, and we have 3/4 of an hour, which is 45 minutes. So 3/4 of 60, which is how many minutes there are in an hour, is 45. So we have 1/4 of an hour, half an hour, and 3/4 of an hour, and you'll see why we need to know this in just a second. The second thing that you really need to know is you need to know your time conversions. But the biggest one that you'll be responsible for is 60 minutes equals 1 hour. You need to be able to remember that because some time conversions, once you add up the minutes, you will have more than 60 minutes, which means that there's more than an hour there, so you'll have to convert it to hours and minutes instead of just minutes. Alright, well let's try a couple of problems together. First thing that you need to know is there's going to be two different types of elapsed time problems. The first kind is where it will actually give you the beginning time and the end time. And then you have to figure out how many hours and minutes occur between these two times. The second type of problem we'll see next. So first of all, let's go ahead and read through our word problem here. The play started at 7:32 p.m. and ended at 9:36 p.m. How long did the play last in hours and minutes? Okay, so we're going to use our cubes strategy, and we're going to go ahead and go through and start off by circling our important numbers. Now, these aren't numbers that we're necessarily going to be multiplying or dividing, but they are important numbers that we will use to solve our word problem. The next thing we're going to do is underline our question, which is how long did the play last in hours and minutes? And last, we're going to box in our key words. Now, if you look here, you can see that there are, the biggest keywords that you're going to look at are hours and minutes, which tells you that you're going to be converting, you'll have hours and minutes in your answer. Okay, so in order to use a number line to find the elapsed time, you're going to always start off with the beginning time, okay? And in this case, it is 7:32 p.m. And if you look here, we're going from p.m. to p.m., so we don't have to worry about going from like a.m. to p.m. or p.m. to a.m. We're just going from p.m. to p.m., so we're going to start off with 7:32. And the 7:32, I'm going to go ahead and that's my first mark here on the line. I'm going to write it underneath, I have to leave room on top for something else. Now, when we're using a number line, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to figure out our larger times first, okay? And what I mean by that is, can we go from 7:32 to 8:32 and still be within our time limit here, 7:32 to 9:36? Well, the answer is yes. I can go from 7:32 to 8:32 and still be within my time limits. Now, why would I want to go to 8:32? The reason I would want to go to 8:32 is it is exactly 1 hour away from 7:32. So I'm going to go up here. My first little time jump here is 1 hour. Sorry for my handwriting, as usual. So from 7:32 to 8:32, we have 1 hour. Now, we have to figure out, can we go from 8:32 to 9:32 and still be within our time frame here? Well, if you look here, our end time is 9:36, and 9:32 is definitely before 9:36. So I can go again another hour here, and I'm going to do the abbreviation HR, and get us to 9:32. Now that is not our entire time. It's not just 2 hours. We actually have to go all the way to 9:36. So now we can't skip any more hours, so we're just going to go minutes now. And our end time is 9:36. If our end time is 9:36, and we're going from 9:32 to 9:36, how can I figure out how many minutes that is? Well, one way we can do it is we can subtract. We can say 36, what's the difference between 36 minutes and 32 minutes to find our answer? And that would be 6 minus 2 is 4, and 3 minus 3 is 0. So we would actually have 4 minutes here. Now this one's so close you really wouldn't have to even do the subtraction like this. You could just pretty much do this in your head. But you will want to be safe a lot of times and make sure you're doing the subtraction correctly. So if it's a bigger difference, then you might want to go ahead and write it out like this. Well, now we have to go ahead and add together all of our times up here. So I see right here, and remember we're going to want to add together like times. So I'm not going to add the minutes to the hours. I'm only going to add the hours together, and then I'm going to add the minutes on after. So right here I have 1 hour plus 1 hour, which equals 2 hours. And how many minutes? Well, I have 4 minutes. And that's it. 2 hours and 4 minutes. And that would be your answer. How long did the play last in hours and minutes? 2 hours, 4 minutes. Okay, now the next type of question is a little bit different. Let's look at it really quickly. In this question, we're given the starting time, and then we're told how long the football game lasts. Okay, and then we actually have to find the end time. So we're not given the beginning time and the end time and told to find the hours and minutes. We're given the beginning time and our hours and minutes. And we have to figure out when it ends. What time does it end? Alright, so first of all, I'm going to go through and go ahead and do my cube strategy. Circle my important numbers. My start time is 3:25. And I know that the game lasts for 3 hours and 34 minutes. I'm going to underline my question, which is, different color, sorry. What time did the football game end? I'm going to put into cubes my, or I'm going to box in my important numbers, or I mean my keywords, end. So I'm looking for my end time, and I have. That's pretty much it you need to know, is that you're looking for the end time. And you have your start time up here. Okay, so basically we have our start time, our elapsed time is already given to us, and we have to find our end time. Okay, so we have our start time, so as usual we're going to go ahead and put that at the beginning of our number line. 3:25 is our start time. And it lasts for 3 hours and 34 minutes. So what I can do is I'm going to go ahead and figure out my 3 hours first. So from 3:25 to 4:25 is my first hour. So that's my first mark on my number line. From 4:25 to 5:25 will be my second hour. But I'll still just write 1 hour here because we'll add them all up later. Or, you know, we'll figure that part out later. So 4:25 to 5:25. And we'll have my third hour lastly here with from 5:25 to 6:25. And that's another hour. Just do the abbreviation. Now we have 34 minutes here. So how do I figure out what my end time is when there's 34 minutes? Well, you're going to have to add your minutes to your time. Okay, so I have 34 extra minutes, and I already have 25 minutes in my hour. So if I add 34 to 25, what am I going to get? 5 plus 4 is 9. 3 plus 2 is 5. So 59. So instead of 6:25, we're adding 34 minutes to 6:25, so it's going to become 6:59. So my end time is going to be 6:59 p.m. Alright? So, remember there's going to be two types of word problems. First type of word problem, you're given the beginning time and the end time and told to find the elapsed time between these two. In the second type of word problem, you're given the beginning time and then the elapsed time, and you have to find the end time. Alright? So both are simple if you use your timeline correctly. Now, I told you guys at the beginning that you're going to use benchmarks. Now, we didn't really see that much here, but I'm going to show that to you really quickly with this word problem. Now, we already kind of know how it works here, but think about if you were going to, we could do this a little bit differently. I'm just going to show it to you really quickly because I want you to be able to use it because you'll have some word problems that you will want to use this on. Okay, so let's say we start off our problem, as usual at 7:32. Okay, because that's where we would start otherwise. Well, what we can do is we can actually move to the nearest benchmark. So we have four technically. We have a quarter of an hour, which would be 7:15. Well, that's too early, so we can't use that one. We have 7:30, but that's too early as well. But we also can have 8:30. We can't have 8:30. We would have 7:15, 7:30, 7:45. Well, 7:45 is the closest one after 7:32. So I would skip from 7:32 to 7:45. Okay? And then I would go forward and say, okay, from 7:45 to 8:45. Okay? And then I would go from 8:45 to 9, because 9 would be the nearest benchmark after 8:45. And then from 9 to 9:36. Okay, now that looks like it's more steps than it is in this case. In this case, it's easier to go from 7:32 to 8:32 to 9:32. However, sometimes you'll need to use these benchmarks. So you'll want to go from 7:32 to 7:45, the nearest benchmark. Then you can go an hour, but you can't go from 8:45 to 9:45. So you'd have to go to the nearest benchmark, which is 9, and then go to 9:36. Now this means you have more minutes to add up, but you'll still get the same answer. Alright, now it's time for you guys to do some practice problems. Right here you have 3. This one you're going to have to find the end time. Number 2 you're going to find the elapsed time. And for number 3 you're going to find the elapsed time as well. So what I want you to do is complete these in your math journals. Please make sure you write a quick summary of the video as well. And then we will discuss these 3 questions in class tomorrow. Have a good night.